right. We are recording. All right. Happy Veterans Day. My father was in the Navy for 23 years, so this day is important to me, and I think it's also important to many of you. We're just days away from a historic election, and in many ways, we're still in such a place of uncertainty. I want to make sure that anyone that serves in the military knows that we respect them and that we want to do whatever we can to support them. They supported us. We need to make sure that we earn that support. Also, happy 11/11/2020. The numbers have been showing up like crazy lately, haven't they? If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, welcome to the Green Room. It's a place for us to hang out with industry insiders and have a great conversation and a higher education. Speaking of that, I hope you have something ready for our 420 attitude or altitude adjustment minute. Let us know in the chat what you're consuming. I'm excited to interview today Carl Saling. He is the founder, director, CEO of Hollister Cannabis Co. since 2017. Am I saying your name right, Carl? Did I get that? Is
Yeah,
it
it's Carl
Saling?
Sailing.
Saling. Okay, great. He
Yep.
Carl's been an entrepreneur since he was 16. Carl, would you tell us what motivated you to start your first business?
Yeah. So my first business was a ceramic tile and marble installation business. I, um, I had recently dropped out of high school. They basically gave me either, hey, Carl, quit or get kicked out. I was um, pretty rebellious and into a bunch of stuff that I really shouldn't be into. So I got out of all of that and cleaned myself up and started a ceramic tile and marble business. And it was kind of funny how it started. So my mom's boyfriend, he's an old school Italian craftsman. From the time I was 12, weekends and summers, working with him and learning the trade. So I quit high school and started working in the ceramic tile business. And I had my little tile truck at my girlfriend's house. And this so random. A neighbor down the street saw my truck, knocks on the door and says, "Hey, is that your truck?" I said, "Yeah." It was like, "Hey, I just got a contract to build 2,000 houses. I need a tile guy. Do you want to be the tile guy?" And I was like, "Of course I do." I learned pretty quickly to say yes and figure it out. So that's what I did. I said yes and immediately had a business and was working 7 days a week in that business till I was about 19, 20 years old.
They say that the secret to success is a combination of hard work and luck. And it sounds like, you got really, really lucky and were ready to do the hard work. So I bet it was a hard job. But what did you love doing tile?
At the time, I did. I'm very creative, so it enabled me to be creative and actually take something that looked not that good and turn it into something that looked really good. And I was very proud of the work that I did. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but I sliced my hand up pretty bad, big giant scar here. And then my knees kind of blew up. So I learned pretty quickly that I did not want to do manual labor as a business or a career. Yeah, so I pivoted out of that, by the time I was 20.
Yeah, manual labor is tough, but I would
It's
argue,
super tough.
I would argue that high level thinking is maybe tougher.
Oh,
It's
I can
exhausting.
tell you the business I'm in now is the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. You know,
Yeah.
which is the cannabis industry. I mean, you take any business and a startup business, any business that you start, it's generally, difficult first 5 years, all of that stuff. Layer in all the regulations, all the other stuff that happens in the cannabis industry. That's a recipe for an incredibly hard business. And it takes a lot of fortitude and determination and stickability to last in this industry.
Did you just invent that word? Stickability. That's, you know what? That's
I
the
think
new, go ahead. Go ahead. That's the new
no,
name
I was
of,
going to say, I think my football coach.
go, you go.
No, I was just going to say, I think my football coach when I was a kid said that to me, stickability. But
You got stickability. That we could make a rolling paper company and use um what you might call it, oil or whatever. I'm not a concentrate person, so I don't know the right name for what the product is that I'm thinking of, but use some kind of cannabis sticky product for the glue, and we can call it stickability papers.
that's cool. There is a company called Lift Tickets that I think has
Oh yeah.
newspapers now.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
they still around?
Um, I I still see them every now and then.
They had the coolest branding. They had like actual lift tickets that were like, yeah, I wanted to get them as uh name badge name badge sponsor because that's amazing. Okay, so back to you, Carl Salane. Um, so New Jersey just legalized cannabis last week, and you lived there until you were 27, right?
Correct. Yeah, I grew up in a town called Mount Laurel, New Jersey, which is basically a suburb of Philadelphia. So I was close to Philly.
Nice.
And I lived there till about till I was 27 or so, and then I moved to Pennsylvania, and then Pennsylvania to San Diego.
Nice. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to know if you have any insights for our audience on what it would be like to do business in New Jersey.
I'm actually very excited about it. They're still working on some of the regulations, I believe, but that's definitely in our plan is to expand into New Jersey. I mean, I have family, I have lifelong friends and connections, and it only makes sense, for us to expand there. And really, I mean, based on uh, this latest election round and now so many states are either legal for medical or recreational, we're now going to really fast track our expansion into additional states.
So what are the so they haven't decided on what the rules are going to be. They just what was the and was it a voter initiative for New Jersey?
I believe it was, yeah, I believe it was one of the few that actually passed that way. And now I think they just created the cannabis recreation division. I don't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the fast track for them, and to get the regulations going.
Interesting. So I'm taking, I'm guessing that it wasn't like a 72-page document like California had. Was it just a simple, hey, it's legalized now, New Jersey,
Um,
figure it
I mean,
out? Or
honestly, I have not dove super deep into it. We have a very robust business today in California and in Arizona.
no?
So I've been very, very focused on those two operations at the moment.
Understood. Yes.
Yeah.
California is the biggest, most important market. And unfortunately, what we do, other states and countries are looking at what we do and shouldn't necessarily be considered a model, but it is a very important market. So I hear you. Um, but, just as far as, the state and the customers, do you think it's going to be, well, I mean, it's New Jersey's the garden state, right? Is everybody going to grow their own? Are they going to be connoisseurs? When you lived there,
Well,
how was the weed?
So when I lived there, we had one of two choices sometimes too, right? So sometimes one was Mexican brickweed with all the seeds. And then the other choice was randomly, you got what we had called then like Sensi Bud. And you did not have the choice of, the 20 different strains that you get to pick from at all times, which, I mean, just thinking about that, when I first arrived in California and I realized that there was this thing called a dispensary and I went into one, my mind was completely blown. I couldn't believe that there was probably 30 mason jars, old school Prop 215 days, where I can smell and sniff and look at all these different varieties of cannabis. It was truly amazing and blew my mind. Still does now. Like when I think back to that and what the 16 or 20-year-old Carl would be saying right now. It's truly amazing. So New Jersey, I think, is going to go crazy with recreation. They have had medical. It's been a very tightly regulated medical market with really strict qualifying conditions. It definitely wasn't like California when you can either go online or go to a center and say I have migraines and pay $40 and you're out the door with a medical card. Like my mom, she still lives in New Jersey, in Cherry Hill, and she has a medical card, but it took her months and months and months and months to get that. And then I think she has to go and redo the process either once or twice a year, and it's not cheap. It's a few $100. Um, and the market right now in New Jersey, um, it was where everybody's vertically integrated. So whoever's selling is growing and producing and manufacturing. I know, I want to say maybe earlier this year, or it might have been the end of last year, they started to allow additional, let's say, cultivators come in and start cultivating and then selling to the medical dispensary. But I'm not sure exactly where that stands at the moment.
Hmm. Interesting. So, that sucks, but also, if it's hard, that means maybe doctors and nurses, you can't hear me. Wow. Can you hear me now? No? Can
I
you hear
can hear
me?
you.
Oh, okay. You're muted too, Carl. Where was I going? Oh, that sucks. But also, if it's that difficult, then that probably means you're getting doctors. You can't hear me still, Carl?
Now I can hear you.
There
Now
we
I can
go.
hear you. Somehow the whole meeting went mute.
Okay. So that sucks. I was talking about how hard it is or was for your mom, but also it's an opportunity to educate people, right? Like if I had to go to my doctor at Kaiser Permanente, I asked him, I just got health insurance for the first time in 20 years 2 years ago, and he wanted me to take this cholesterol drug, and I was like, does it have side effects? And he said, oh, no. And I said, well, come on. All these pharmaceuticals have side effects. What are the side effects? And
I know.
he said, no, we've had tens of thousands of people and take it and no side effects. And I was like, I don't know if I trust you. Do you know about the endocannabinoid system? And he said, no, what is that? And I was like, okay, shut up. So maybe making it hard, but whatever, that's over because now we're going to have adult use in New Jersey. Yay. And you lived there till you were 27. So if anybody needs the New Jersey hookup, my man, are you over there? Carl, he's the guy. Multi-state operator Carl. Okay, so next question. Oh, okay. So while you were living in New Jersey, you had a person that was very important to you and was a huge influence on you. And this person excelled. And this was, I can't remember the year, you tell us, she excelled at selling industrial tools. And that person was your mother. Can you talk a little bit about your mom?
Yes. Yeah, my mom is one amazing woman. My parents got divorced when I was 9ish, and she was a stay-at-home mom raising me. I'm an only child, and then all of a sudden, she has to go out into the workforce and provide for me. So she ended up getting into sales and selling industrial tools or industrial supplies to industries like automakers and big manufacturers, selling these industrial tools that traditionally and probably still today is a very man's kind of world. And she had the chutzpah and the balls, I'll say, to stand up to that. And she was the number one salesperson for 15 years or something crazy like that. And she ended up retiring from that industry as a leader and a winner. So I attribute a lot of my drive and that word again, stickability, persistence, to her. And it's not like she drilled me, with ideas, but she led by example for me.
Yay, mom. I love that. Um,
Awesome.
okay, so there's a couple of directions I could go with that, but what I'd like to do is have you talk a little bit more about your first business and how long you had that business and if you had any employees or whatever. But also, I wanted to segue into the fact that I think my job is tough at times, but your next job was selling steak and lobster and shrimp door to door when you were 20 years old. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I don't think I could do that. But not only did you make really good sales, you got invited to dinner eating the very product that you sold. And the reason was because the moms thought you were a prize and they wanted you to meet their daughters. So talk about that.
Yeah, that was a very fun time. So I like I said, I learned quickly about the ceramic tile marble business. It really wasn't for me. And then somehow I got into this steak, shrimp, and lobster business. And I was an independent contractor, so it was like my own little business, which I liked. I never liked people telling me what to do. So um, I would show up every day with this little Isuzu pickup truck with a freezer in the back, pick up a block of dry ice and then boxes of food. And then I would go start knocking on doors, and I knock on a minimum of 100 a day, and basically would have a pitch where I'd be like, hey, my name's Carl from Anchors Away. Mrs. Jones down the street, her freezer broke. She couldn't take all this food. I can't go back with it. I've got amazing deals, and I just go grab it and come and show them and do a whole presentation, and then start talking about how you cook the fillet and all this buzzword stuff about the lobster tails and shrimp and all these things. And it was great. I learned how to sell. I got um, so when you're selling and when you're learning how to sell, you got to put in the time and dial for dollars or knock on the doors and just get through that so you can learn all that stuff, because you really can only learn it by doing it. So I was very fortunate to get through all that at a young age. I learned sales pretty well. I did a great job. And yeah, like you said, so I loved when I would go to like an area like Princeton, New Jersey, very, higher higher wealth area, and the moms would invite me over, cook me the food I just sold to them, and let me take the daughter,
That's
which is super
crazy.
fun.
You're
Super fun.
you are a
Yeah.
genius, and you were a genius when you were 16 and 20 and all of the things. So my Apple Watch is telling me that it's 4:20. So
Oh, let's do it.
let's do it. Carl, can you talk about what it is you're about to consume? We want to hear it. What is it?
Yes. So for those who don't know, we have a product called Hashbone. and it's a bubble hash infused pre-roll. This is our newest SKU. It's hash bone minis, and it is a 5-pack of half-gram hash bones.
Beautiful.
I mean, we have little cool sayings on the inside, like, don't fight, hash it out, stuff like that. We have a cool little Easter egg on the back. We actually cut our joints open and show what's on the inside.
Nice. Hey, I own let'shashitout.com. Do you want to buy it from me?
$20.
20 bucks. I've been sitting on that for years. Come on.
Yeah, so there's 900 dot something around that now. There's .club, .ninja, .work, .food, .deliver, like there's everything. So
dot.
Domain names, I think, yeah, .dot. I think the domains have kind of lost some value that way.
Right. I mean, nobody knows what your domain is. They're just clicking on a link. Right.
I'm gonna do one of those shots like the girls, that light and smoke, right?
So, hey, audience, why don't you put in the chat? I don't even see the chat. Where's the chat? There it is. Put in the chat what you're
I
smoking.
can't see it either.
Where is it? And also, if you have any questions, never mind. This is a webinar. We don't do questions here. You'll just have to ask them in the chat. Okay, so anything else you want to talk about your pre-rolls? How big are they? Half a gram?
Yeah, these are a half gram, and we also have a full gram version. And then we also have a another version called a Wolfie, and that's a hash bone that's coated in full spectrum oil and then rolled in more bubble hash.
Why do we call it Woofie?
So I come up with most of the names, and that's like Wolfman Jack or Wolfman, like they're furry, hairy. So
okay,
Sublime already has fuzzies.
okay.
So Wolfie, nobody had Wolfie.
So half a gram is that?
Like I came up with the name hash bone. So back east, we would say, let's go smoke a bone to go smoke a joint.
Okay.
And I'm trying to come up with a name for this new product that we came up with, and hash bone just popped into my head.
I love it. I love it. So is half a gram considered a dog walker? Or, I mean, it's like not a beginner dog walker, but is it like, how many hits do you get off a half a gram?
Well, I mean, we use a little bit of a longer, so a typical dog walker is maybe like this long.
Okay.
But this is a thinner cone, and I like the crutch longer.
I love that.
Especially when you're lighting infused joints.
Yes.
You don't want to light yourself on fire, so sometimes they can spark up.
Thank you.
I like it to be a little bit longer.
Yes, I love that. Oh my God. Okay. I love that so much. So I was going to get into dosing, but let's not do that. Okay. The other direction I was going to go before our 420 moment, when we were talking about your mom, I was thinking about, I'm sorry, I didn't want to get emotional, but I was thinking about how you were a single dad and how much I look up to you and respect you for taking on that role and parenting your 2 boys for 6 years by yourself. And I mean, mad respect to you, Carl. I just want to hear your thoughts on parenting.
Yeah, so I mean, parenting, it's a big responsibility. I had a great example with my mother. I also had a great example of what not to be with my father. So growing up, I swore that if I ever had kids and something like what happened to my parents happened, that I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't leaving. I wasn't going to be, the weekend dad or the every 2 week, whatever. I was going to be there no matter what. And my future ex-wife at the time knew that as well. I made that quite clear, just I kind of wore that on my sleeve. That's super important to me. So, we moved to San Diego in 2002 from Pennsylvania. And then within about 6 months, we were divorced, and I had my two boys. They were 5 and 3 at the time. And I had a business in San Diego as well. And I basically went into my office and told everybody that I'm working from home from, starting immediately. And if anybody has a problem with it, tough shit. And then that's what I did, so I was at everything. I was at every sporting event. I volunteered in every class for both of them. How you have like the kindergarten moms and all that stuff. That was me. I was the kindergarten dad. I was the field trip dad. I was at everything, and I designed my life around that because it was just so important to me. I'm starting to get choked up thinking about it too. So, and then about 6 years into it, their mom got her shit together and came back in, and it became more 50-50, which was great because boys need their mom too. And that was very important to me that they were able to kind of rebuild that relationship with them. And then that enabled me to have some sort of stability and predictability with my schedule too. So now I was able to plan some things and meet other people and meet new women and things like that. Because it was like for the first 6 years, I didn't have any girlfriends or anything. I didn't really care about that. All I wanted to do was make sure that those two boys were good.
That's amazing, because I'm
And now,
sure the women were throwing themselves at you because they're like, oh my God, this guy, look at, if only my husband, if only could be like Carl. Fuck. I love that about
yeah,
you.
thank you. Now, they're 23 and 21 and amazing boys. Super
That's
amazing.
great. That's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You want to give a shout out to what they're up to? Proud dad?
Yes. Yeah. So my oldest son, Hunter, he's an actor. He graduated from UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television last year. Thank God, it wasn't this year. And he's actually working. I don't know if you've seen the Netflix live action Stranger Things drive-through experience. He's
Hello.
one of the actors in that right now, which is
Damn.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the only live, productions that's happening in LA right now.
Wow.
And from Kenneth Walton just said, I look too young to have sons that age. Thank you. I am 51, so I have really good genes, Ken.
Yes. And Ken, while we're on that subject, thank you for bringing that up. Speaking of your genes, let's talk about weight loss. What
Yeah, weight
happened?
loss.
Yeah, go with weight loss.
So yeah, so growing up, I was always pretty lean and fit. In my 20s, I was really into martial arts a lot. And this one day I was doing some crazy stuff in the dojo. I don't know. Have you ever had one of those, those workouts when you're on and like you're super flexible and everything's hitting, you're just doing everything right? So I was doing that, and I was doing a couple things that I really hadn't done before. And I did this one kick to break wood kind of behind me, and it was like an axe kick, went up this way, and my low back like tweaked out or something, and I was done. I mean, that ended my martial arts for a long time. So I had severe back issues. They meaning the traditional medical doctors wanted to fuse like the bottom of my spine. I said no way. So I started, I was in a marriage I didn't want to be in. I had sold my business to a public company, and I had a bunch of suits, trying to tell me what to do. So I wasn't happy. And instead of smoking crack, I ate a bunch of cheesesteaks. And I ballooned up to,
Are you
I ballooned
serious
up to
about cheese
325
sticks?
pounds. Cheesesteaks. I'm from Philly
Oh,
area, so
oh,
cheesesteaks are like it's a staple food.
okay, got it.
Cheesesteaks and soft pretzels. Come on.
Yummy. That sounds good.
So I just could, yeah, I was consuming way too much bad food, not exercising, just not happy. So I ballooned up to 325 pounds, and oh, that wasn't good. My triglycerides were like 900. My doctor fired me. Bunch of things like that. So I ended up going on the zone diet, which was like a balanced, I can't remember what it was, 40, 30, 40, 40, or like 30 fat, 40 carbs, 40, long time ago, forget really what that was.
Right.
But using that diet, I dropped down to 250, 260, and I stayed there till about 2007-ish. And then I started doing P90X. And then by 2008, I completely lost all the weight, and I was in pretty good shape. One of my
Well,
goals
wait,
was by four.
hold on. Pretty good shape. I saw a picture. I meant to put it on the email, but I couldn't find it again. And this week has been crazy. But weren't you on the cover of a magazine or in some big
Nah,
competition?
no. So
You were like,
so that picture was
go ahead.
yeah, that competition, or that picture was in 2011.
Okay.
So 2008, I lost all the weight. I'm in pretty good shape. I'm not competition shape. I had a goal to be on like the cover of Men's Fitness when I was 40, but I didn't do that because I kind of lost interest in it. And then I got really, really serious about competing in men's physique, which is not the bodybuilding where you're wearing, Speedos. It's more of the board shorts, because I didn't want to do that kind of bodybuilding. I didn't want to stand up there like that. Board shorts with no shirt on, I'm cool with. So I really worked out super hard. I did P90X and Insanity at the same time. It was a massive goal, very hard work,
You drove,
and I did it, which is
you
amazing.
drove from what I saw, I think you were driving from San Diego to Venice Beach to work out with somebody. That's crazy. That's a
Yeah.
four
So
hour commute.
during yes, so during that training, I hooked up with a professional bodybuilder by the name of Jerome Ferguson. Like, he knows Arnold, and like world famous dude, super cool. He took a liking to me and what I wanted to do. And he literally beat the shit out of me every Saturday for months.
Nice.
I would drive, and you know what? It was also, being at the Mecca, Gold's Gym in Venice Beach.
Yeah.
That's where all kinds of stuff started. So for me, just doing that, that provided a ton of motivation and like juice for me to just stay motivated for it.
Were
So yeah.
were those folks consuming cannabis? Any of them, or was
Um,
cannabis not an issue?
I don't know if Jerome was consuming cannabis or not. I was. I was beating myself up pretty bad. It was hard work. So, that's how I helped my recovery, is definitely cannabis.
Did Jerome know that you were consuming cannabis as part of your program?
I'm pretty sure, but I wasn't as vocal about it as I am now. Like my kids didn't even know that I was doing cannabis then. It's funny, because growing, raising my kids, they probably saw me drink 3 or 4 drinks their whole life. I really don't consume alcohol at all. And they never saw me smoke or like anything. So they had no idea that I was even anywhere near cannabis like I was. Like my son, who's 23 now, when he was 18, I broke the news to him and he almost had a heart attack because it was one of those moments where he kind of got caught smoking weed and we were talking about it and he was feeling pretty like he was going to get in trouble. And I just totally unloaded on him and he was like, his
I
face was
love
white and
you.
no clue.
Wow. That's wild. That is so
Cat's
crazy.
out of the bag though.
Yeah, I mean, daddy's in the cannabis industry. He's like, "Oh my god, my dad's so cool." That's wild.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah. So
as far as weight loss goes and working out and all of that, cannabis has a horrible stigma that you're the whole stoner thing, that you're lazy, not motivated. I have found the opposite in my life, that I just rearranged my entire house yesterday when I got high. um, and I think that there's plenty of studies out there showing that people that consume a lot of cannabis are not overweight. In fact, they're much less overweight. Are you, as a company, focused on health and diet and doing any research in that direction?
we're definitely focused on helping people and health. Diet, I mean, personally, I am. My wife and I are very health conscious. She's an amazing cook and she cooks all kinds of very healthy organic food. Like we're blessed to live in a farm area, so there's organic farms that supply whole foods down the street. So that's amazing. But as a business, definitely focused on health and wellness, not so much diet, because there's a lot of really, I think, smarter people that can help on the diet side.
Great. Okay. Speaking of your wife is also your partner, and you guys knew each other for a long time and decided to get married. I'm wondering, when did the partnership happen versus the relationship? How do you navigate that? Um, it sounds like,
Yeah.
to me, when I think about getting into a partnership with a loved one, a family member, it's either the best idea ever or the worst idea ever. So, how do you guys make that work?
Yeah. It has its challenges, but I really would have to say that it's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful experience, and we've been fortunate enough to figure it out early on. So we met in 2011, and then I started the beginnings of this business in 2013, 14-ish. And in the beginning, she wasn't working in the business. I was more so driving it myself. And she was like, you're getting into the cannabis business? What? And uh, it wasn't until we moved here to Hollister area in 2016 that she came on full time. She was a real estate broker in San Diego, Rancho Santa Fe area. So she had a lot going on there. So here, we have clearly defined roles at work and at home. So here at work, I'm the CEO. I have the final decision. At home, she's the CEO. She has the final decision. We have separate offices. I work in a different building. I'm not there with her. If I was, I'd probably be all up in everybody's shit, and they don't want me doing that. So I don't want to do that either. So it's better that I have my own space. I can shut the door and be alone because I need to think. It's not always doing things. I have to think about a lot. So and then we meet up, every night, have dinner together, talk about the day, and it's just been very beautiful, really.
I love that so much. And also, And also, the rest of the story, Carl has an office where he can consume legally, and the other place, not so much.
No, no. The other place, the cops are on camera. F Funny segue on that one. So it's early on in our licensing here, and the cameras are on, and it's all new to the police. So they're calling me all the time, and this time they call me and say, "Hey, Carl, we really like that shirt you have on." It's like, you motherfuckers.
Oh my God,
So they're
assholes.
watching me on camera. Yeah, or like we get a new piece of equipment in, and there running over to look at it, which is cool. The police here in Hollister are amazing. We've had nothing but positive interactions with them. They've welcomed us here.
That's great.
Also, we're very good actors. We're very good actors. So the police come in today and say, "Hey, you need to change this." Tomorrow, I'm sending a picture. It's changed. You know, without any bullshit.
I think we should choose another term because I get what you're saying, but when you said right then, you said we're very good actors, it sounds like you're saying we're pretending, which we're not. We're good.
Okay, we are very good neighbors.
Good
How's that?
neighbors. Good neighbors. Yes. Good people.
Good
Good,
neighbors.
good
Yeah.
neighbor.
So I mean,
Yes.
to even kind of, yeah. So when I was speaking in front of the city council to get my license here, I promised them that I would be a good neighbor, and they
And
could count on me to be a good neighbor. And like right when COVID hit, um, and people were hoarding supplies and
yeah,
doing all that stuff, I got extremely pissed off. I
yeah,
was very angry at that, very angry. So we use the ingredients for hand sanitizer every day in our business.
yeah.
I have drums of the supplies, So we made thousands of bottles of hand sanitizer with the Hollister Cannabis Co. logo on it,
Yeah.
and gave it away to everybody. For Gave it away to the police officers, the fire department, city manager, and believe it or not, the food bank had nothing.
Well,
So I
people
made sure
people were
to
hoarding.
um,
They were hoarding hand sanitizer, and you couldn't buy the ingredients, and you couldn't buy the bottles. I know because I was trying to
yeah.
make some too, but you were already set up, and you just went right into action and got it in the hands of people that needed it, rather than capitalizing on this crisis. You reached out to support your community.
Yeah, and actually, the county board of supervisors gave us an award, which was cool.
Well deserved. Very well
Yeah, but
deserved.
it's also, I don't know, I have to do something. I can't sit here. I just can't sit by and watch it happen. Can't.
Okay. Okay. I that is another thing that I love about you. And so that's a good segue to talk about social justice and social equity. I know that diversity is a really important component in your mission. And I just wanted to take a minute to talk about, I mean, this environment that we're living in right now. We have an opportunity to have uh, huge change happening. Tell the audience a little bit more about what Hollister Cannabis Co. Is doing for social justice and diversity.
Yeah, so that's super important to us. And the thing that I'm working on right now is I'm building uh, a a, um, a board to help advise us on diversity. Because if you can't tell, I'm a white guy, and I don't have all of the knowledge or experience that a lot of my non-white friends and business associates have. And that knowledge is very valuable to us, because for me to make a bunch of diversity and decisions like that on my own, it's like I'm living in a vacuum, and I don't really don't I don't think I have the right to do that. So I'm building a board of advisors that's going to help us make those kind of decisions to make sure that we're being as inclusive as we can be. And then on our delivery business, our plan is to have a whole equity section for minority cannabis brands. So that way we will be able to provide those brands not only a way to sell their products, but also the public a way to buy them. Because it's it may not be, it may not be the easiest thing to find that equity brand that you want to support. Like, how do you go buy it? Is
Right.
it one shop, 20 miles away from you?
Right.
Where, we'll be delivering. Right now, we deliver in the Bay Area, but we'll be delivering from Sacramento to Carmel pretty soon. And then from there, we'll be statewide by the end of next year. So imagine you're an equity brand in Oakland, and then you have, like you, Susan, you see something and you want to support them in LA, but you really can't. But if we have our delivery service and you're able to order those products and we can deliver them to you in LA, then that's a whole circle there that I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly right. It's shelf space is very hard to get. Um, there's not very many retailers in California, and the competition is stiff. And any way that we can figure out how to, uh, delivery is shelf space, right? Um, I'm all about that. My partner and I are working hard to support these social equity brands. They're you
So,
know what is that? What do you say?
I see Chris down there showing his joint, so I'm showing my
Chris has
joint.
got some amazing effects going on back there. I love it.
So I'm doing some dancing and
Okay, so I know that there's only so much you can talk about this, but Hollister Cannabis Co. is a rock and roll biker outlaw kind of brand, and you're working with some talent in the music industry. I'm super excited about that because I think music is so important. It's more influential than any other thing I can think of, more influential than movies, and music is super important, but it's a weird place for the music industry right now. I'd love to hear some thoughts about music and cannabis.
yeah, so I agree with you. Music is very important. It's super important to me. I play guitar. It makes me feel good. I just love music, and I'm a hard rock metal guy. And I just love the crunchy rock, metal sound. So um, rap and hip hop seemingly have been synonymous with cannabis for a very long time, and there's plenty
Which is
of rock
fine. Which is
and metal.
fine.
It's totally
Disclaimer:
fine.
we're cool. Hip hop, we love you. Go ahead.
So my idea is to bring rock and metal more into cannabis and make that more synonymous with cannabis, because
Yes.
the rock and metal musicians, their cannabis saves their lives. I mean, it's a hard job to be up on stage. I mean, it beats you up, right? So a lot of the rock and metal guys are using cannabis as medicine. Rock and metal enthusiasts are cannabis users too. So my goal is to bring more attention to that. We have an awesome collaboration with one of the biggest metal bands in the world that's coming out. I really can't talk about it yet, but it's going to be a co-branded hash bone, and we're super excited about that. And it's the artwork is just being worked on and finished right now. But we have a partnership with Heavy Brands, which I can talk about that, and then super connected with major acts. So I'm just very excited. Ultimately, it'd be super cool, and I think we talked about this on the phone the other day. but to do a rock cannabis event, where it's not just hip hop bands, it's
No,
rock
don't
bands.
tell anyone yet. But I have to say, I don't I don't think it's a good idea to really associate heavy metal with cannabis.
Hey, I mean that's your prerogative,
No,
and
Carl,
not everybody likes heavy metal.
I'm talking about, I'm just trying to be funny. I'm talking about the labs
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
heavy
Heavy metal
metal,
is
heavy
dun, dun,
metal.
dun. Yeah, and actually
Ba-dum-bum.
that test is a pretty strict test.
We could be ironic though.
Hey,
I mean, what's that?
I've had a couple tokes to this though. Come
Yeah,
on.
that's okay. I mean, let's play on it. It's heavy metal, man. Right? Okay. What
Right.
else? Oh my God. My favorite thing. We only have 9 minutes left. It's not my favorite thing. I take that back. I just am excited about this right now. Can we talk about mushrooms?
Whoa. Whoa. I tried it once years ago with my brother-in-law.
Wait, Christopher, let me come back to you. First, I want to get Carl's take on the uh, Oregon and DC had some important election stuff, and I want to talk about Hollister, Cannabis Co., and psilocybin, if we can. Carl.
Sure. So earlier this year, we acquired a company called Alpha Mind Brands. That is a mushroom company. They've been doing research on psilocybin and the effects on inflammation, specifically in athletes. So there's a bunch of research going on with that. At the same time, we have a formula of what I call functional mushrooms. It's like lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, I think oyster, maybe another one that we'll have a blend, and we'll be selling those on our website and in a few other places while we're continuing on the research. So back to your question of what I think about that, I think it's amazing. Microdosing psilocybin has been proven to really help people in an impactful way. And then, I'm actually dabbling in that personally myself, microdosing some psilocybin, and it's going well.
Can you tell us more about why, or I don't want to get personal into your health issues, but how is it going to help you? How is psilocybin
I
therapy?
mean, for me, yeah, for me, I'm looking for, I would say, clarity. Not that I'm not clear, but it seems to enhance my focus.
In a
I'm
microdosing
not depressed.
situation?
Yeah, yeah, in a microdosing situation. Like I don't have depression, I don't have PTSD, I don't have anything like that.
Do you
I'm
have,
not
do you have,
unhealthy.
do you suffer from anxiety?
No,
So people
I'm
like,
I'm on zero drugs other than cannabis and now a little bit of microdosed psilocybin.
so
Like for anything, like I don't have high blood pressure or anything.
okay, I think the average person looking in would say this guy right here, has it all. He's been an entrepreneur his entire life, since you were a pre-adult, and you've been very successful. What the fuck are you depressed about? You know?
I didn't say I was depressed. I'm not.
Oh, okay. Yay, mushrooms.
No. I'm not depressed. That's
That's
what I was
awesome.
saying. I mean, I'm not taking it for depression. I'm taking it for clarity. I want to achieve more.
You've achieved very much, and I look up to you. I respect you. As far as mushrooms go, there's a lot of different varietals or strains or whatever we're going to call them. But I've been using lion's mane for 5 weeks, and that's really helping me focus and be clear. So I think there's a lot of really, really exciting opportunities in the mushroom world. But Carl, I just want to thank you for doing what you do. I mean, you're such a great example of what an entrepreneur is. And um, how many people do you think you've employed over your last 25 years?
Couple thousand.
Oh my God. That's, oh, that takes my breath away. I can't even imagine feeling responsible for that many people. What is that like?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So that's actually one of the benefits I get from being a business owner is I get to help people pay their bills. I get to help them feed their family. I get to help them live life. And that's amazing. Until you actually get to do that. And if it's something that would mean something to you, it means a ton. That we get to just help, like right now between we probably have 60 employees right now.
During a pandemic.
Oh, we are, I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, we're in a pandemic. Many people are suffering. We haven't slowed down our business up. And I feel bad and I feel good at the same time. It's a weird spot.
There's no need to feel bad. I get it.
No, I feel bad for the people that are suffering. I don't like,
Okay.
I don't feel bad because we're successful. I feel bad for people that are suffering.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna help them. We're gonna give them jobs. We're gonna make sure the industry thrives, because if we do well, we can do good, and that's really the goal. And Carl, so much respect to you and what you are doing, and I'm so glad that we had this opportunity to get to know
I
each
am
other a
too.
little bit better. It was fun. You're awesome. I can't wait to hang out in person again. Do you have any closing
Well,
remarks that you'd like to give us?
well, we didn't talk or even bring up the fact that I sponsored your first Green Oasis
Oh yeah.
back in
Yes.
2014, I think it was.
A long time ago. It was scary. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
It was
Yeah.
cool.
Okay. Yeah. So that was like such so this shows you what a pioneer Carl is. He's like, I hit him up and he's like, sure, first time event, she hates Coachella because they hate weed, I'm in. And he shows up, and we had the cops come to our event like 8 times, maybe 9, because people didn't understand. And you know, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that I wanted to say, fuck you to Coachella because they hate cannabis. And we had Alabama Shakes come to the house, and they were on Billboard magazine the next morning. And Brittany Howard, I got her a medical recommendation, and she was patting me on the shoulders and she was dancing. She's like, I got a doctor's recommendation for cannabis. And then she's like, what do I do with this? It was so cool. Thank you so much for being there from the beginning. I love you.
It was awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you. So we want to learn from you, Carl. You're amazing. Any last words of advice or anything you
Well,
want to leave us with?
I live by some sayings. One of them is, within every adversity plants a seed for a greater benefit. And I've used that to get through some tough shit.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I wish I could give you a hug right now.
It was great. Thanks, guys. I really appreciated it.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for everything that you do. And let's talk soon.
Yes, please.
Love
Stay
you.
Okay.
We'll probably collaborate one day. So.
Bye.
It'd be awesome. Thanks, everybody.